Hello learners, in this lecture we will see what are the admixtures and what are the practical importance of a admixture, right? So you can see the admixtures here, right? It's written here concrete admixture chemical. So we'll try to understand why this admixtures has to be used. So to begin with, these are additional substances or you can call them as the ingredients which are added in the concrete to modify the properties of a concrete as per the requirement. So nowadays, admixtures are very important for the concrete, and we can say that it is one of the important ingredient of the concrete, which is also called as a fifth ingredient, but it is not an essential ingredient. What do you mean by that? That is nowadays, if you go for a very high-rise constructions and all, if you go for a very important buildings and all, right? And most of the companies they try to make use of admixture. So it has become a fifth ingredient. That means previously, so far what we had seen that concrete is a mixture of cement plus fine aggregate plus coarse aggregate, and if I add water to that, so this was my concrete, right? How many ingredients are there? One, two, three, and four. Basically there were four, but now since you are adding a admixture to this, so we'll write admixture plus admixture. So now this has become a, even this is also concrete now, right? So you can call this as a modern day concrete also. I'll write it here. So you can call this as a modern day concrete, modern day concrete. If you see previous structures and all, we were not using admixture, but nowadays most of the structures what we have, we try to make use of the admixture. But you need to understand one thing. It is a, yeah, so it is a fifth ingredient, but it's not a essential. Even without the use of admixture we can prepare a concrete, but if you want to use it you can use the admixtures, right? Yeah, so that is what you mean by not essential ingredient. And if you add a admixture in a concrete, you can call that particular concrete as a modern day concrete. But if you remember, but if you try to understand, if you're doing a normal construction like a small house construction, or let us say G plus 1, G plus 2, or G plus 3 building in a nearby areas, then we don't try to go with the admixtures. Admixtures are used when we want to change the properties. You can see it here, when we want to change the, modify the properties of the concrete, and what all properties that we need to modify, that we are going to see now, right? But if you're constructing a normal house and all, we don't try to make use of admixture. Normal concrete is enough for us, right? So I hope this basic understanding is clear. Yeah, other than that, yeah. So producers use admixtures primary to reduce the cost of the concrete construction, to modify the properties of the hardened concrete, to ensure the quality of a concrete during the mixing, transportation, placing, and also during the curing, and to overcome certain emergencies during the concreting operations. So these are the scenarios where we try to make use of the admixture. So this is how your admixtures is going to look. We have different kinds of admixtures that we'll try to see in the upcoming lectures, and you can see this is how it looks. Yeah. Now coming to how the admixtures are going to function, what exactly the admixtures are going to do, and why we need to understand the admixtures, we'll try to see that. Now let us consider, yeah, so let us consider you're feeling thirsty and you need to drink something. So I'll give you two options what you're going to drink. Either you can quench your thirst with the help of a water, or even you can take this Rasna or Red Bull. If you take any one out of this, your thirst will be quenched, right? That's a simple thing. But daily we don't take Rasna and Red Bull. Usually we go with the water. But let us say you're participating in some sports competition, and on that day you need to run well, right? Let us say you're participating in a relay competition or something like that. So on that day you'll be feeling thirsty, and on that day if you want to drink something, then instead of taking water, what we usually try to do, we either take Rasna or either we make sure we are taking Red Bull, so that our performance is going to increase. Or sometimes what we do, we try to make use of the glucose and all. So basically what we're trying to do, we're trying to get a instant energy. That means we're trying to increase the performance with the help of the Red Bull, Rasna, or glucose, right? So if you take water also, no issues, but water will not help us to retain that energy, or the water will not help us to to get a very good performance, right? The moment you take water, after 10-15 minutes again we'll feel thirsty, and we will not be able to improve performance. But whereas if you take Red Bull, the glucose and all, it's going to give us the instant energy. So basically what I'm trying to tell, in order to modify our performance, what we try to do, we try to stick to this supplements like Red Bull, Rasna, and glucose, right? In the same way, whenever we want to improve the performance of the concrete, see, normal concrete we can use like cement, coarse aggregate, fine aggregate, and water. You add, your concrete is ready. We don't have issue with that. But let us say there are some instances where you want to increase the performance of the concrete. So when you want to increase the performance of the concrete, then you need to try to make use of the admixture. So you can relate this admixture with the Red Bull or a Rasna, where you're going to get the instant energy, which will help you to increase the performance of your concrete, right? So I hope this basic understanding is clear about the admixture, right? So with this understanding, we'll try to see a few more points about the admixtures. Okay, give me a minute. Yeah. So yeah. So admixture is defined as a material other than the basic ingredients of a concrete, like cement, aggregate, and water, which is added to the concrete mix immediately before or during mixing to modify some properties of a concrete in the fresh or the hardened state, which you already seen. Like we have cement, then we have aggregates, that is a fine and coarse aggregate. We have water also. This is concrete. But if you try to add certain admixtures, then this will help you to modify the properties of the concrete. Yeah. So the properties commonly modified are like heat of hydration, or if you want to do, if you want the strength gain to happen early, or if you want to retard the setting of your concrete, or if you want to increase the workability, or if you want to do the reduction of the water with very little water, I want to get more and more workability, right? If you want to have a air entrainment, permeability, and durability factors, if you want to improve all this property, then we need to make use of admixture, because only with the concrete this property cannot be achieved, right? You have to bring in someone so that all these properties are enhanced. So that is why we go with the admixture, so that we get a, so that we are trying to change the properties of the concrete, right? Same like the Rasna and the Red Bull, what we have seen, it will help us to increase our performance, right? In the same way, this is, admixture is going to help us to get all these properties. So admixtures are used to modify properties of both the fresh concrete and the hardened concrete to make it function as required. So successful use of admixture depends on the use of appropriate method of batching and concreting. It depends how we are going to do the batching of the concrete, and also how the concreting is placed. Most admixtures are supplied in ready-to-use liquid form, and also added to the concrete at the plant of at plant or at the job site, right? So whatever admixtures we have seen, either they are available in the form of a liquid powder, and when you have to add them, you have two options. Either you add them when you're manufacturing the concrete, that is, if you have seen the RMC plant, that RMC stand for ready mix concrete plant, where the big batching plants are set up, right? In the plant itself, you put these admixtures in the concrete. That is one way of doing, that is called as at the plant. The second is job site. Let us say here you are not putting any admixtures, and you have brought the concrete to the site. So in the site, you are going to put the admixtures in the concrete, right? So that is called as job site. So usually what we do is we put that in the RMC only, and only then we bring it to the site. Putting that on the site becomes difficult, because you need to have a very good person who has a very good knowledge in handling this admixtures and all, right? So the common practice is that we try to put this admixtures in the RMC plant itself, and that's how your concrete is designed. If you don't want to put it there in normal use, you can bring some admixture from the market, and if you have certain experience and all, you can try to put that into the concrete so that you can modify the property. Yeah. The effectiveness of admixture depends on the several factors, including the type and amount of a cement, water content, mixing time, slump, and temperature of the concrete and air. So these are different factors on which the admixtures are going to uh, show their effect. If you're using more and more admixture, it will have a different effect on the concrete. So you need to have a certain idea how much amount of admixtures has to be put, so that you can get all these benefits. Yeah. So I hope this basic understanding is clear about the admixtures and how it's going to function. Yeah, and there is one more point. Yeah, we'll try to see that point as well. Yeah, coming to the functions of admixture, I've explained that in a brief, but if you want to understand this in a more better way, you can try to follow these points, right? So the functions of admixtures to modify the fresh properties. Sometimes they ask you, write the functions of admixture to modify the fresh concrete properties, and also the functions of admixture to modify the hardened property. So fresh concrete means whenever a concrete is prepared, we call it as a fresh concrete or a green concrete. And once your concrete is set, once it is hard, after that whatever you are going to get, no, that is called as hardened concrete properties. So you can try to note down all these points. They are self-explanatory. That is to increase the workability without increasing the water content, or to decrease the water content at the same workability. We'll try to see all these things when we go into the second chapter. But as of now, just you can try to go through this point: to reduce or to prevent the settlement, to produce a lightweight concrete, to reduce the rate of slump. All these are the functions of the admixtures. And in the hardened concrete, these are the functions that admixtures are going to show: to accelerate the rate of strength development, to retard or to reduce the heat generation during the early hardening, to decrease the permeability to the liquids, to decrease the capillary flow of the water, right? So in this way, you can try to go through this. They're self-explanatory, and you can take any of the point from here and you can write it down if they ask you in the examination. Yeah. So I hope this is clear. We'll see you back in the next lecture. Thank you.